Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great morning. Welcome to our webinar between ourselves at PacketFabric and DE-CIX. We're just going to give people a couple more minutes to get their coffee and settle in, and then we'll start. Right, 2 minutes should be enough. No one wants to keep you hanging on for too long. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, whenever you've chosen to download this. Thank you for turning up. My name is Paul Boniface. I'm a solutions architect here at PacketFabric, and I'm joined this morning by both Fudge, my cockapoo, who's chosen to bark at the very last minute and chase the cat, and by Harald from DE-CIX, so I'll let introduce himself.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Paul. So this is me, Harald Kriener from DE-CIX. I'm responsible for the cloud connectivity product portfolio at DE-CIX, and I'm happy to be here. And hopefully, you will have a wonderful, let's say, 30 to 35 minutes with Paul and me. And yeah, appreciate to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us, Harald. We do have a live Q&A. I'll be sitting here monitoring the questions. If they do come up during the chat, ask them away. They're in there. You know the drill. So our webinar today, optimizing cloud networking with DE-CIX and PacketFabric. So I want to give you an introduction to who we both are and where we both come from. And I want to start really with this quote. Agility is so key in a modern digital business. Things move fast, and if you don't know what the future holds, I think this quote captures that really nicely. We're not planning for one future. We need to plan for many possible futures. An agile IT architecture today is hybrid, it's multi-cloud, it's multi-region. It gives you choices, best-of-breed services, optimal placement for cloud regions, co-location data centers. It reduces that risk from concentration of all your services in one place. And some businesses, that's actually a regulatory requirement. So generally, just a good idea. I mean, if you can't rely over your cloud architecture, how agile is it really? So what happens is, you end up with an architecture that looks a little bit like this. At the bottom, we've got our offices, our business locations, our remote workers, our customers, our partners. And we get them to our service edge via some form of WAN, SD-WAN, SASE, internet, mobile networks. But in the center is what we're calling the cloud core. It's where your mission-critical applications and data are all flowing. And by mission critical, we're thinking of inventory management, payment, transaction processing, financial reporting, booking systems, business intelligence. I could go on, All the traffic's coming from the edge. The cloud core is often a set of many hyperscaler providers, co-location data centers, enterprises, SaaS, Salesforces, things like that. So maybe you've got some specialized players in there, bare metal if you're moving data between them. So to take this thought a step further, you may also be moving data between those regions of a single provider. So a great question to ask is, what actually constitutes your cloud core? Okay, if you've got that picture forming in your mind, then the other key consideration your cloud core has to satisfy is 4 different types of demands from the business. It has to be a steady state. Your normal everyday demand, generally they grow over time, but you have to have that steady state. You may have seasonal variations. If you're online shopping, then this time of year tends to go fairly crazy for you. The Black Fridays, the Cyber Mondays, etc. Other times, if you're online gambling or something like that, you may find World Cups in the summer, usually, or some other sporting event causes a big influx. So seasonal, ad hoc, site migrations, short-term business initiatives, that sort of thing. And then there's disruption, those initiatives, those new market opportunities or threats, new regulatory requirements. This thing all comes into play. That agile cloud core, it's a must-have in modern business. So now I want to give Harald a chance to introduce DE-CIX and where they sit in this ecosystem.
Oh, the unmute button as always. So thank you for handing over to me. Quite interesting. So we need to plan for many futures. How should that work? Yeah, and what is DE-CIX doing behind? Yeah, so DE-CIX is a worldwide global interconnection platform distributed on different continents and different regions. How is it working? How are we starting a new region or location? So we're working in that way that we say, okay, we try to deploy the interconnection infrastructure everywhere where interconnection infrastructure is needed. Which means we are looking for for cable landing stations. We're looking where all the networks are, where it's necessary to have a connectivity to each other. And we are looking as well for the cloud on-ramps, where it's possible to be closest to the cloud on-ramps to offer a pretty fine quality to all of our networks and customers. And on the other hand, we are trying to create that kind of services and operations which are really needed on the market. Yeah? This is where DE-CIX comes from, and this is how DE-CIX operates. At the moment, we are deploying and we are running 35 internet exchanges on different continents. 2023, we will deploy 3 additional AXs in Africa and 3 AXs in APAC, which are still under confidential. And you can see everywhere the small blue dots. This is where DE-CIX is running an infrastructure. We have more than 500 data centers connected, which means from more than 500 data centers is possible to do a direct connectivity to the DE-CIX infrastructure, to the DE-CIX ecosystem, and to be possible to use all that kind of services which we have implemented there. In total, we have more than 2,500 networks connected. The biggest interconnection hub from our perspective is Frankfurt, where we have more than 1,000 networks, which means more or less you can exchange easily data on one fabric, on one platform. And back to the 500 data centers, this is the fantastic story in regards to PacketFabric. We do have a lot of PacketFabric locations connected, and with the PacketFabric services, it's quite easy possible to consume DE-CIX services. Regarding the DE-CIX services, this is the whole bunch of services we are able to offer. I just want to point out, let's say, 3 or 4 services which are, from my point of view, quite interesting for the PacketFabric connected customers, which are on one hand, let's say, our main service, which supported us to be the biggest interconnection ecosystem in the world. It's peering. What is peering? Peering is more or less the connectivity and the exchange of data between networks. Yeah? Between networks who trust each other to exchange the data directly without any kind of hops in between, to have a low latency exchange, to have a clear, predicted, transparent handover between two networks. This is more or less the backbone of the internet, let's say, where you can receive a lot of routes and where you can have really fast connectivity to other networks. The second service, which comes more and more relevant, is the Microsoft Azure Peering Services. What is it? It's more or less the insurance to secure the traffic between an enterprise network and the Microsoft network. It's not that cloud connectivity stuff, because of it's the connectivity to the whole world of M365 services, where Teams is included, Exchange Online is included, and as well some platform as a services from Microsoft, like the blob storage or Microsoft Dynamics as well. And that kind of service helps especially bigger sized customers who are having a lot of M365 seats in their internal network to have one hop connectivity directly to Microsoft with a dedicated bandwidth, a dedicated capacity to secure the connectivity. What means secure in that way? It's DDoS safe. Why it's DDoS safe? Because of it's just the connectivity directly from your network gateway to Microsoft, and therefore it's secure because of it's encapsulated in a VLAN. And the third service which I would like to mention here is DirectCLOUD, which is the cloud connectivity to the big hyperscalers and to the local and regional clouds. It's the same service which PacketFabric is offering too, but the difference, or more or less the combination of DirectCLOUD from DE-CIX and the combination of the cloud connectivity from PacketFabric supports the customer with that option and that flexibility, that it's really going via different ways, different paths, on different hardware, on different on-ramps to the cloud, which means more or less at the end you have really a redundant setup. And if cloud is the cloud connectivity is a very high service with a high demand of security, then it's the right option to use both service providers to have the perfect match. The goal of the cooperation of DE-CIX and PacketFabric in short is with PacketFabric you can reach the DE-CIX ecosystem easily via their platform, because of PacketFabric is wide distributed in different locations, different data centers, and in every data center where PacketFabric is connected, you can reach out the DE-CIX services. Especially, I would like to point out the M365 connectivity, Microsoft Azure Peering Services, because of it's getting more and more relevant, because of everyone is migrating into Teams, and the stability and the low latency is quite important here. And on the other hand, with the combination of PacketFabric and DE-CIX, it's easy to increase the redundancy, to increase the reliability, and to use a second cloud exchange to make your network more stable for accessing different on-ramps in multiple cloud regions. Yeah. Thank you, Paul. Back to you.
Thank you for that. It's lovely to get a good overview of what DE-CIX are capable of doing for us. Everyone loves a good statistic, and Gartner are very good at providing them for us. Way back in 2021, way back, God, the pandemic hit me harder than I thought it did. A survey by them realised that, it's there in front of you, you can read it, but yeah, cloud connectivity is going to triple between 20 and 2024, and we're coming into 2023 now, and they're not far wrong. It's definitely going that way. Personally, we see digital organizations all the time moving towards this software-defined network as a service approach versus that traditional telecom. The traditional way of setting up private connections is somewhat difficult, tortuous even. in the sense that you have to manage a lot of physical logistics. It's a very manual process, a lot of juggling, and it can take quite a while. And this is where PacketFabric come in. We've described ourselves as the connectivity cloud. We exist for this very reason. We're taking that high-speed WAN connectivity between data centers and cloud providers and providers, partners like DE-CIX, for example, to reach those from wherever you want to. And we're turning it into a cloud-like consumption environment, not the traditional telco. We've built a massively scalable private optical interconnect network from the ground up with an API-enabled basis, all on demand, very elastic consumption. Instead of having to sign up for traditional long-term contracts that freeze you into how much bandwidth you can consume on top of waiting the 30, 60, 90 plus days to be deployed and fully running. You can deploy bandwidth on demand on a monthly basis. And in the case of interconnectivity between data center and data center, or providers like already on our ecosystem, like the DE-CIX, you can actually burst or consume those on an hourly basis if you need be, depending on the use case you're looking at. It's important to point out that PacketFabric is not an overlay. We're not a set of VPN tunnels that just happen between your cloud instances. We're a private optical backbone. We've built the physical private optical backbone from the ground up, massive global network capacity. Highly resilient, it's carrier class, 5 nines SLA, dual stacked, fiber redundant paths, multiple 100 gigabits per second at all of our points of presence, and it's built with end-to-end automation. That was our key, is to automate everything. So we own all of our own software stack. That's where our agility comes from. We've noticed that the ability to scale your network is becoming a top concern as this demand for interconnectivity grows around the world. The expectations of interconnection are changing. You should be able to provision your bandwidth on demand in minutes on a self-service or an API basis. It's the new state of the art. It's the future of high-speed interconnection. To get access to the guys like DE-CIX and other providers, the cloud services, on-demand flexibility. We saw earlier Harald introduced a slide to some of DE-CIX's products there, and some of the products that you can create using that and with the PacketFabric stack is that point-to-point connectivity, a private Ethernet line between data centers, again provisioned like that, plumbed in, ready to go. That hybrid cloud connectivity, providing data transfers between the data center you're located in and your cloud service providers. That multi-cloud routing is available. So we've got a really fascinating product called our cloud router, or for the Americans amongst us, our cloud router. This allows our customers to connect multiple cloud service providers together at speeds of 100 gigabit per second upwards. Say you're connecting multiple regions together through the CSPs. Instead of having to route through their infrastructure in your own data center, you set up a massively scalable, distributed, virtualized BGP router as a service, and you can connect all these regions into it. You don't have to worry about managing all the routing. In all these data centers, you get optical latency. It's all done there. And then, of course, we have our any-to-any networking. Connect to any major internet exchanges, especially DE-CIX, and access to all the providers they have through the PacketFabric network onto the DE-CIX network. It's kind of like having a private internet of your own. So we're 19 minutes in. We did have a couple of questions. We've got a couple of questions come in. I can see one for you, Harald, here. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I can see a question. How is it possible to order via PacketFabric a DE-CIX service? How does it work?
Excellent. Well, working with either a DE-CIX or with PacketFabric as ourselves, everything is able to be ordered through our portal. Again, we have decided to automate everything. If you need to access this service and you need to access a DE-CIX portal, then we'd put you in touch with the sales guys at DE-CIX, access their service through there, and then we can configure the interconnection into it. I believe DE-CIX yourselves, you have a nice portal for provisioning your own services. The same as us, matter of time, and the two will talk together.
Sounds easy.
Automate everything all the time. We're trying to make things as transparent and automated and modern, I think is a good phrase.
So there's an additional question, and I do really like that question very much, because of this is for me also a quite important topic. And before I ask the question, I would like to mention, I love the sentence, PacketFabric is not an software-defined overlay or whatever. And the question here is, what is the difference between that SD-WAN and not having an overlay?
It's interesting. There are so many variants on SD-WAN. It's almost like it was a big thing a few years ago, and it started to be watered down as people have SD-WAN is automation of IPsec tunnels over an already existing internet or over your first and last mile, and there's no private network involved in it. To interconnection at the first and last mile automated into someone's POP with a hardware device that you need, and that manages it. It's become watered down that no one really knows what SD-WAN actually is. Our variant at PacketFabric is that we provide a WAN, we've created the software, you log into the portal, and through use of an API, or if you're a big automation house, then you're Terraform. The ability to actually use a Terraform provider to spin up your WAN plus spin up your AWS or Azure instances, plus spin up the connectivity into those instances, that's software defining your WAN to me. It's not just, oh, we need connectivity here, do some software, because has there ever been a WAN that hasn't been software defined? Every router somewhere runs on software. Go figure. It's a really interesting question. It's nice to see. It's funny to see how that phrase has been watered down over even the last 2 or 3 years. It's the IT industry, isn't it? Someone says, oh, I do this, and someone else says, oh, we do that, we'll use the same name. And by the time everyone's used the same title for it, it's multiple different ways of approaching the same. I'm probably not allowed to say how to skin a cat or something.
Fine. Then there's another question. Do I need to order multiple cloud connects to build up a redundant solution? If it's okay for you, Paul, I would like to take that question.
No, that'd be great.
Yes, it depends a little bit on the hyperscaler. If we're talking about, let's say, Microsoft, you are always getting 2 connections which you can implement in a redundant way. But at the end of the day, it's still handed over by DE-CIX or handed over by PacketFabric. That means more or less, if you want to build up a real redundant implementation, you need to take both of us. Yeah, you need to take a one-time PacketFabric, one-time DE-CIX, and depending on the cloud on-ramp, if possible, you should choose different ones. The best thing would be in different locations, different regions, to have really redundant setup. Because of then it's really possible that you're not running into issues if, let's say, you have a blackout in one region or in one data center, or if there are some hardware problems on your side. To build up a real redundant solutions, it's perfect if you use different providers in different regions, in different data centers.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You're probably quite right. Absolutely. If you want redundant, go redundant.
Exactly.
We're,
short and easy.
Yeah. If only things were that easy. It's there you go. If you want redundancy, build redundancy. Done. We're approaching the 25-minute mark, which is about 5 minutes longer than modern TED thinking says is most people's attention span. So all of the the slides and some bookware is available for download alongside this webinar. You can contact DE-CIX and Harald through the website there. You can contact PacketFabric if you want a demo, some sort of demonstration, or evaluation of any kind of facility and access that we can provide you. Feel free to contact our guys. But other than that, thank you very much. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you, Harald, for your time.
You're welcome.
Great to speak to you, and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.